Welcome to Marketecture, where you can get smart fast with in-depth interviews of leading technology vendors. I'm Ari Paparo, and I'm here with Jacob Araz of PebblePost.
Hey, Ari.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start with the basics. What does PebblePost do?
So PebblePost is the leader in a new channel called Programmatic Direct Mail, where we blend the best of digital advertising and physical media to send relevant messages to consumers at home using physical mail, physical media.
So old-fashioned, yet so cutting edge.
What's old is new again, Ari.
Okay, let's talk about programmatic direct mail. So what does that even mean? I'm having a hard time even formulating a question.
Yeah, let's start at the beginning. So here, let me tell you kind of where the company came from as a way to kind of answer that question with a little more color. So basically, programmatic direct mail grew from this vision and founding idea that a couple things have converged in the market to make a really sort of interesting and valuable proposition for brands. One is we spend all of our time online browsing, researching, purchasing. As we all know, everybody who's going to do a Marketecture is probably going to say a similar thing. Two is the home is actually ever more of an important environment for consumers. We spend more of our time here, but also we spend more of our time making really important purchase decisions here. So reaching consumers at home for brands is absolutely critical. And third is that physical media is highly impactful. Receiving and choosing to kind of walk into your apartment or house, an actual piece of mail that you then put on your kitchen counter or your dining room table and then discuss with your roommate or spouse or what have you, it's just highly impactful. The challenge when you kind of think about all those three things together is they haven't really worked as an orchestrated combination. And so in short, what programmatic direct mail is, it's a way to take consumer intent and send more relevant messages to consumers at home using data and technology, just as other programmatic channels have kind of disrupted other channels, like CTV has done for linear and programmatic display has done for print sales, et cetera.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I get it. If I get a postcard from a brand I'm interested in, obviously there's some impact there. Okay, so let's talk about how it works. How do you get my mailing address? Who gets my mailing address? How do they get it?
Yeah.
Who chooses that I get it? Let's go through the very basics here.
Yeah. So at the heart of it, we're a data and technology company, and the way that we then create the messages for consumers, the final mile is that physical media piece. So we really think of ourselves as a data and technology company. And when you start with that, then you start with the data, right? So what we do is we work with hundreds of brands who opt in their first party data to what we call the PebblePost graph. And when those brands do so, they opt in browsing data, what consumers are doing on their websites, their customer file, and their transaction file. So what we can do is then link together what people are searching for online with where they're located and what they're purchasing. And that allows us to close the loop. So for every brand that we work with, to use kind of a brand example, let's take Mejuri, high-end jewelry brand. Mejuri puts our JavaScript tags on the page. They send us either a feed from their CRM or e-com platform or a file of that first-party data. And then we build a marketing program for them that allows them to execute on three major strategies. Either they can do pure prospecting with lookalike and act-alike models. That's the top of funnel pure prospecting. And we use all that data to actually build not only what their best customers look like, but what their best customers are doing. And so that's where we kind of bring in the digital best practices to direct mail. So lookalikes is one product. Website retargeting is the second product. Prospecting or customer targeting. And then customer engagement is third product, where we do all sorts of retention. And so brands use the same platform to do any one of those strategies. There's a lot of variations of it. But what it means is from the moment you or I show interest in a product or service on one of our brand sites, we can get a piece of mail out to you within 12 to 24 hours. And that's done automatically for hundreds of thousands of mail pieces every single day through the platform.
Okay, so let's break this down.
Yeah.
So you have a graph that has consumer postal addresses linked to certain online identities, presumably cookies, hashed emails, et cetera. Is that accurate?
Yeah, we use a variety of online identifiers. Hashed emails is one, browser ID another. We don't do anything in mobile app environments, so we don't touch the made world at all. We don't use third-party cookies, though, so that's not a mechanism that we're reliant on currently.
Okay, so let's do the retargeting use case first, because that's probably the easiest to understand.
Yeah.
So I'm an anonymous consumer. And I go to one of your customers' websites. I'm not identified. I haven't logged in. Or maybe I'm identified, but I haven't logged in and I haven't purchased anything. How are you then going to send me a postcard?
So the way that we look at it is to get a piece of programmatic direct mail to you. And we do by the way, we do postcards, we do bifolds and trifolds. There's a bunch of different formats.
Sorry.
No,
Direct
that's
mail.
okay.
You're going to get something in my mailbox, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's all about relevance and the right message at the right time. So what we do is, because we have this graph, generally speaking, there's about a 70% chance that we can match your browsing behavior to a postal address, because either the brand in question already knows what it is, or we've made those linkages in the graph, and so we can do the match ourselves. So when we do that, so what happens is you go to the website, the algorithm deems that you're a valuable person to get a piece of mail out to. It scores and ranks you along with everybody else, and if we deem it valuable for the brand, we'll make the match to a postal address, and then that piece of mail gets sent to you the next day.
Okay, so an anonymous visitor has a 70% chance of being identified. Now, you mentioned engagement. I assume engagement is where it's a known user.
Yes, right. Customer engagement, it's a known user. It has less to do with the website browsing behavior directly. We'll get a list of customer records from a brand, and then the brand can choose. Either we'll apply the same optimization to that list that we do with everything else and layer on intent. So which of these customers are actually in market for these relevant products or services? Or usually brands have spent a lot of time segmenting and modeling out their best current customers. And so they'll just want us to send it quickly and efficiently and make sure that when we send it, we do all the normal things that any channel would have to do to make sure the mail is actually deliverable and that, we get to the right address.
Right. And then let's talk about lookaliking. So with lookalike, we're trying to find customers who are brand new to us. We don't know anything about them. So what are the inputs that I as a brand provide?
Yeah. So how it works is brand sends us a seed file. So let's call it 50,000 of their best customers. And there's a couple different ways to define best, of course, highest purchases, most frequent, whatever it is. They decide, we work with them to decide. And then once we get that, we use that data to build two models. We build an offline model using the demographic, psychographic, et cetera, information of that customer file that we have by appending all of the attributes we know to that customer record. So that's the offline model. And then we combine it with an online model. Because we can make that linkage, we can actually see what those best customers are doing online. And so because we can do that, we're sort of combining an act-alike and a look-alike model together.
Thanks for listening. To hear the complete interview, subscribe at marketecture.tv.